Good late evening, just past sunset on this increasingly light night in the greater Bloomington metropolitan area in central Illinois. This is Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing. This is just a quick update that I believe I found the weekly pattern that we're in all these coins, and we're going to start with Bitcoin. You see this right here? See that? Make that a little bigger. You see that? That's the pattern I think we're in. And we entered that when we started this recent bull run at 3,600 in March of 2020 in the COVID dump, right, when it lost 50% in a day. Then we hit our first upper resistance, then our lower support, a whole shitload of it. Then we pumped. And this was the end of the blow off top. And I believe we're in a rising wedge, right? And those are bearish. You could still pump back up to here, not that high. You could still pump back up here and then get rejected. But if you break out of this wedge with volume, like we've been getting pumping style volume, you got a long way to come down. And that our first target is 20,000 because that breaks out of our daily wedge. That's why the $21,000 target's there, because you're in another wedge. That blue wedge that I showed you up here, I got the lines shrunken down right now, so that way it's easier. There's not as much noise. But that's when I started getting footing and on the YouTube world. And right here would be your target at the bottom of the bottom of this wedge, right? So pay very close attention in Bitcoin as I zoom in here. You see, this is what I was talking about. See the blue line? This is your daily rising wedge, and the target was down here, or it was actually lower. Down here at the bottom of that wedge where it formed, that's where we have a $20,000 target. And that's what gave us some of the keys to our data sets at this probability-based company, Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing, that we use to forecast. Now, this is your next key area to watch on Bitcoin over the next few days, right? When you start coming on here and you start dancing, if you pump and you don't get any volume in here, right, you're going to roll over. If you come up to this upper resistance, strong upper resistance now has formed at that $54,000 level. Very close attention pay on here. The $30,000 to $38,000 range, depending on how long it could dance, right, on this line. But this is very, very important right here. If it breaks decisively, like you've seen these other patterns break decisively in the 4-hour, hour, and daily time frame, pay close attention on that upper support line. If it breaks that, you have a long way to come down in Bitcoin, and the altcoins would follow it. You guys have seen now that the heisters and fleecers and shysters that tell you that the altcoins pump when Bitcoin dumps are wrong. Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing has been telling you if Bitcoin dumps and has a huge crash, the altcoins crash even harder. That's the way it works, right? The altcoins are the penny stock world of the Dow and the NASDAQ. You see what I'm saying? So pay very close attention. If it breaks this key upper 1-year rising wedge pattern that started in May or March of 2020, if it breaks that, you're coming way down and you're going to test that $20,000 outstanding mid-range target that we've had for weeks since Bitcoin was over 60,000 at Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing, and we're not changing that now. If we start getting some support and some buys, I will let you know if I think we can come up here and retest. But if we do get any kind of pump before we break ultimately this lower resistance or lower support, I will let you know and keep you up to date. But the volume is only pumping when it's selling, and that's very bearish. Dogecoin is the same. You're forming the same wedge pattern in Dogecoin, right? We didn't draw it off. We didn't draw it in Doge. We were in XRP. We drew some of these in other ones. Here, we'll get rid of some of this noise because you can see the same thing in XRP. I drew a couple of these up. Oh, Zill I drew it up in, but we're in XRP. XRP Sniper and all my other XRP community. There seems to be a big XRP community out there. You guys are rabid. Almost as rabid as Bitcoin community. Right, let's get some of this noise out of here. You see that blue box? That's our ultimate buy zone, because I believe XRP is going down there. It might take weeks to months, right? It's not going to do it overnight, but I believe it's going down there. Let's get some of this shit out. Look at the eraser. Good job, eraser. Flawlessly again. Beautiful. Thank you, eraser. Now, live TA, just like Bitcoin, we just showed you that monthly rising wedge. This is the second time in XRP's history after a pump you formed a rising wedge. Rising wedges are bearish reversal patterns. And we just broke out of a daily time frame rising wedge. This is a monthly rising wedge. Or a weekly rising wedge, right? See that? We'll make that bigger. We'll make that white. Same thing over here. Make that white. You see that? That's why we have our ultimate buy zone. It's no mistake that we put our ultimate buy zone for XRP way down here. And I could see it even fall below that, but that's unlikely. The more likely scenario is you see this rising. Get out of here. Going to here, down to our favorite drawing tool. Actually, let's pull out our favorite let's pull out our little pointer tool with an arrow on it. Or line tool with an arrow. God. We're going to purge from overhead resistance. You see, we formed this pattern after we broke the last down. If I zoomed out, we have the exact same rising wedge, except we had a falling wedge last time, which are bullish reversals. You see, we entered it, hit upper resistance 1, upper resistance 2, upper resistance 3, lower support 1, lower support 2, little cluster, confirm the pattern. Now, if you break down out of this and you come south of that line at 70 cents, that upper support, right here, where is that about 60, 65 cents, and you start crashing below the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, and you break decisively out of this, and you get crashing. You can see this whole wedge. The volume was crashing this whole time in this wedge as it was pumping, very bearish. And if you break out of here, you're coming way down to your target, the bottom of the wedge, right? The bottom of the wedge, right about here to here where it started. That's why we have sub 30 cent XRP. It might take weeks to months because it's going to trade, but I believe you're coming down here before you go up there if you ever get up there. See what I'm saying? XRP, pay very close attention to that. Litecoin, the same thing. I drew this out for you already. And Litecoin already, that's why we've had that box down there. Litecoin's already broken out of the rising wedge in the weekly time frame. So that leads me to believe Litecoin's coming down here, right? And I think these other coins are going to follow Litecoin. You see the volume picking up? Big sell volume, right? Big sell volume. Bearish engulfing sell volume. If we zoom in closer, to get some more sexy, glowing, beautiful data points. Ooh, we got some nice buying right there on that candle in the 1 minute. But see how, if you're just zoomed into the 1 minute, you think you got all kinds of buy volume coming in when you really don't. It's just a 1 minute candle. It stands out though, all right? Something to watch out for. But in Litecoin, what I think you could do, now that you've broken out of this, there's your upper resistance. Now, used to be lower support in that rising wedge. You could start trading sideways and up and start running into these moving averages at $145. If you could get some buy volume in and maybe come all the way back up here at one time and retest the upper resistance to just come down farther. But right now, I'm not seeing the volume come in to do that. The only volume I see come in is sell volume and light buy volume. So best case scenario, short term, the next day or 2 or 3 in Litecoin, is you trade up to this upper resistance, major upper resistance at the $170 to $177, and then test that and then see if you can get some volume in, right? That's the best case scenario. You trade up into these moving averages up there for the next few days in Litecoin from the current levels you're at now. Same thing with ZIL. You had a rising wedge, right, in the monthly time frame or the weekly time frame, the same as Bitcoin. You see that? And, oh, God, I always forget I have that on. Get this shit out. Now, if you see, this is the same as XRP. XRP came off after the last crash or pump in 17. It had a falling wedge. See that? It had a multi-year falling wedge. And ZIL did the same thing. And those are bullish reversal patterns, right? So the targeted move out of this, if we would have been following it and deciphered the pattern down here when it broke out, would be the top of the wedge. And that's about where you came up to. A little bit higher. But it played beautifully. right? And now you're in the exact opposite. You're in a rising wedge, and those are bearish reversal patterns, and the target is the bottom of the wedge, right? That's why I have targets down there, and my first target was here because that's where we had our first pump, right? And you can see we entered the wedge here, lower support 1, upper resistance 1, lower support 2, upper resistance 2, confirms the pattern. Then I started making videos on YouTube and here, and really got traction right here before it rolled over, and now it's really rolling over, right? And I diagnosed it and deciphered these patterns for you to give you one step ahead of the criminal gangster cartel that has heisted and shysted and fleeced Jim Harbaugh 21 out of 22 times by Michigan fans out there. I am, yes, a die-hard Michigan fan. So if you're out there, spread the message. Maybe one day, yes, one day Jim Harbaugh will come on my radio show and I can educate him in a probability-based system how to sidestep the criminal gangster cartel, the Ohio State University, brother, right? Jim Harbaugh, like, subscribe to my channel, and I will help you just as I'm helping my traders decipher these patterns. And the same thing with Bitcoin, Litecoin, XRP. If you break this key uptrending support in this rising wedge, you're going to come down here really fast in ZIL, right? So pay attention to that. Best case scenario in ZIL, if you're trying to fight and scratch your claw to back to profitability, because you were buying up here when Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing said jabronis buy there. Jabronis buy there. Jabronis buy there. Jabronis are all jabronis up there, right? Jabronis were built up there because I told you it was coming down, and it did to this lower target. Now you got to see how it trades up and sideways on it. And if you break it, right, you have a big fall coming. Pay close attention right there. If you break that, you sell because you're coming down big, right? Like, subscribe, and share. Peace and love. Peace and love.